everyone, it's Angela here, Nerfenstein, and today I'm going to look at my top 10 favourite card games. Just going to preface this by saying that by card games, I mean games that are predominantly played with cards. I've tried to avoid games that use a board, so even things like Lost Cities that I really enjoy won't be on this list. I can see a lot of games on my shelf that use cards a lot in the gameplay, but they're not actually just card games. So the games I'm going to look at might use counters or markers in order to keep score of things, but generally speaking they're going to be just cards. This list is in no particular order other than my number one, and I've chosen my number one game because I've played it more than any other card game, or probably maybe board game as well. So looking around my table, I've actually got quite a few card games that I haven't actually got to play yet. And that's because of a few reasons. One, I collect certain designers' games. So Ed Baraf, I've got some of his card games here that I haven't gotten to play yet. And some other games that I thought I would really enjoy, but when I've got them, for some reason I've been put off. So I'm just going to start with this one here. For Sale. This game's been around for a long time. I think it released in the 90s, maybe 1995. It's a game of two halves, buying and selling. 3 to 6 players, ages 8+, 20 minutes or so to play, and it is super duper easy. I've played this with people that don't play any kind of tabletop game and they've really enjoyed it. The artwork's adorable, the game mechanics are easy to grasp, and if a game's been around that long, there's a reason for that. For Sale, if you haven't tried it, pick it up, it's a really cool game. Next up, we've got Smash Up, and the reason I like this game is there are so many cool expansions now, and if you're a bit of a nerd like me and you like sci-fi and geek TV and whatnot, there's definitely something in this game for you. It's a cool card game. I'll show you my Smash Up collection. Actually, it's behind the camera, but I'll film it and inset it somewhere. Smash Up, if you haven't tried it and you're looking for something light that you can expand no end, then Smash Up is the game for you. Next up, we've got Timeline. The Timeline series. I own numerous of these little tins and they're lovely. Cards are really tiny, but other than that, there's no negatives to say. This is a great game for introducing gamers to the hobby. You have a hand of cards, some cards laid out on the table, and you have to just play the year of that card into the correct position in the timeline, thus the name. First person to play all their cards is the winner. There's numerous different events and times in history and even other things as well in the Timeline series, and they're pretty cheap. That's a really cool little card game. If you haven't tried that, I highly recommend Timeline. Every time I play Timeline, I'm surprised at when things happened. Next up, I've got Tides of Time and Tides of Madness. Quite similar games, just different theme. And the thing that makes this game so awesome is it's just a few cards, but the way that it plays is so clever that you actually get quite a lot out of it. Great for playing on a plane as well. Nice big cards, beautiful artwork in both of them, and just really clever. If you haven't tried these out, highly recommend. Start with that one, really good. Okay, I'm doing this next lot as a little bundle. These are the Cackle Aachen series of games. Usually got some kind of little bug on the front, a cockroach or a moth. And my favourite of them so far is Cackle Aachen Salad, which is hilarious. If you haven't tried any of these little Cackle Aachen games, highly recommend. This one here had my group laughing until tears flowed. And the rules in all of these are really easy. You basically have to play ingredients into a salad, but things start to get confusing when you're not allowed to say certain ingredients that you've got on your card or they're already on the table, and your brain automatically goes into auto mode and you'll end up saying the wrong thing, which is hilarious. Try the Cackle Aachen series, really good. Cockroach Poker is another good one. I'm going to mention this little Aussie card game by DB Games, Survive the Card Game. The artwork and everything on this one, probably not so good, but again, like Ethnos in one of my other videos I was saying, looks aren't everything. This game is hilarious. If you can get a good group together and play this, you will laugh your face off. Laugh your face off? Yeah. So basically it's a nuclear winter and you need to try and survive, and in order to survive you need certain items in your hand at the end of each round. Now if you're missing an item that you need to barter with the other survivors at the table, and they will lie to you. So you might say you need water to fill out the things that you need to survive, and someone else may say, well, I have water, do you have food? And if you've got a spare food, of course you're going to give it to them. But then they've given you rubbish. so you end up with no water and you've lost the food. Really good fun. That's Survived a Card Game. A little Aussie game, really cool. Well, it wouldn't be best card games if Love Letter didn't get a mention. It's the old classic, it's got numerous iterations, and it's just really fun to play. It's super easy as well, anyone can play this, and there's probably a version that your friends will like. I think it's got The Hobbit, Batman, Adventure Time, Cthulhu, The Princess, various versions. The old classic, Love Letter. My favourite card game of the Codenames series, Codenames Duet. This is a great two-player version of the Codenames game, and if you haven't tried it and you play a lot of games two-player, I highly recommend Codenames Duet. Okay, I think this is number 2 on the list, but I'm not sure. Fox in the Forest is a trick-taking game, and it's a trick-taking game for 2 players, which is unheard of, but it's so cleverly done that it works really well. So if you're looking for a good trick-taking game, and the artwork on this one's really pretty as well, don't go past the Fox in the Forest. It's really, really good. Renegade Games are on fire right now. They can't do anything wrong, so there you go. Okay, if I've timed it right, and I probably haven't, this is either number 1 or number 2, but it's my number 1, Manhattan Project Chain Reaction. This was the original version that I had, which is just the standard version, and I recently managed to get myself a copy of the deluxe version, so I was super happy. I've played this game more than any other card game that I own. I just pop it in my backpack, and if I'm waiting on someone, or I'm in a cafe, or I'm working on my laptop, whip this out, have a quick game. Really, really good. And the reason I like it is I like the Manhattan Project board game, and it kind of condenses that down into just some cards. And I like that the cards are dual usage as well, so you've got some really good decisions to make on what cards you're going to use and how. So if you like Manhattan Project and you haven't tried this, and it plays solo as well, be sure and check out Manhattan Project Chain Reaction. And if you can get the deluxe edition, get that one, because it's got some cute little markers and things in it that I'll show you in set. That's my number 1 card game. As I say, I haven't played quite a few of these card games, so maybe there's one that will beat it in here. I've got other card games around that I really enjoy as well, like Biblios, Century Spice Road. Does that count as a card game? If it does, then that would be in my top 10, but it feels more like a board game, so I left it off. There are some really famous card games that I own, like Bloom, I can see up there, Flux, I can see numerous copies up there, that I've just never really gotten into, so that's why they're not on my list. If you've got a favourite card game, I would love to hear about it. Stick it in the comments. Who knows, maybe I've got it and I just haven't got around to playing it, or maybe I played it and it just didn't grab me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what your favourite card games are, or maybe a card game that you thought was going to be good and then it didn't grab you for whatever reason. That's it for my top card games. See you all later. Nerfenstein out.